What is going on? Oh, the wind is windy. y'all. What's up? What is going on? I'm Goddess, High Priestess, Empress, Alala Pantera. This is going to be a collective live ethereal energy update. Currently got the moon in Gemini. Venus has went into Cancer with Jupiter in Cancer. Okay. But first and foremost, with the moon, and we also, well, probably more towards the late degrees of Gemini, but emotional truth at this time is moving through your words, your messages, your writing, your conversation, social media, teaching, siblings, neighbors, and local movement, especially with this Mars there right now. I might have to. Mars just went into Taurus. Okay. Mars just went into Taurus. Right before that, obviously, would be at 29 degrees of Aries, which puts the warrior current at its maximum energy. And with Venus and a sextile to it, attraction, action, creative fire, relational magnetism are extremely active. But Venus in the square to Neptune and the moon squaring Neptune warns against fantasy, mixed signals, emotional projection, unclear promises, and spiritualized confusion. So it's important to speak with value, move with discipline, and do not let your desire outrun discernment. Let them roll hand in hand, not separately. Brazen and segment at the bottom of the deck, 1715. Sitira. Card 17, the Temple of Warriors. Would you look at that? Ooh. The goddess Sitira is the energy and spirit of Buxton in Guyana, South America. So you could be West Indian, Caribbean, or Southern American. You consider yourself a West Indian. Maybe mixed with other things. The message is more so about stepping up, going for it, partnering up with the divine to make brazen choices, brave, bold, barefaced, that's brazen choices, and everything meant to diminish you will elevate you. Ooh. Yes, step it up indeed. All who mean you harm will fall away. Your hurdles are illusions because you are plugged into the source. Make the brazen decision. Make the bold, brave decision. What would you dare to do if you knew you couldn't fail? I love that. Welcome in, everyone. Make sure upon entering, you're hitting that thumbs up energy button. It is brazen, bold, brave to be unapologetically you. It is brazen to speak up for someone not in the room. It is brazen to choose a different spiritual path or career than your community. It is brazen to build your family your way. God, Goddess, Force energy is brazen. The declaration is, I am bold, brave, shameless, and brazen. So this is about stepping it up. This energy right now, but let me look more into it. Let me keep that over here. Especially with the wounded healer segment energy at the bottom of this deck, which is Chiron and energy. Chiron's energy, the wounded healer, in the sign of Aries, it has to do with your identity, your life force. And it's 8:15 right now. And segment card is 15. Temple of Warriors is the main temple. So within your mindset right now, your vision created for some, saying the Ace of Wands, There's a reawakening that's bringing forth this renewal, and this renewal has to do with you actually are charging towards. This could be you no longer doing something as simply just a hobby. You're doing it because this is where your resources are going to come from. You can do this day in and day out, 25/8. Time is an illusion when you're doing this type of exercise or bringing this idea to fruition, bringing it into the physical. Segment, right here, is the fierce ancient Egyptian goddess of war, the sun and healing. She carries life force in her palm with the power to create or destroy. I was picking up on that energy earlier as well, where some of you are noticing that your hands are getting warmer or you're able to withstand heat even more. For example, you're touching something that's hot. Normally, you would take your hand away quickly. However, you have a higher endurance or capacity to hold, which is hot. That's the Ace of Wands too, though. The wand is activated. Your words are active. Yeah, that's Mercury and Gemini. Okay, I see what you did there, Source. Sekhmet's guidance is to heal thyself. Everyone gets your best except you. Collective, you are a healer amongst your tribe. Stop putting your needs last. The embodiment of this energy is when did you decide to become a martyr? To know more about that energy, you would look into your South Node because it would be something you're comfortable doing, and it would take you to step out of your comfort zone to go towards your North Node, which would be the opposite sign of that South Node. So if you know your North Node, the opposite sign of that in regards to being in a position where you're comfortable, and instead of you healing that wound, you're moving through life with it, okay? And the key here is to end that. So again, the question is, when did you decide to become a martyr? Someone who just is okay with suffering, literally. Take a breath. Wounded healers hold sadness, rage, and fears of brokenness. Being a warrior wasn't a choice for our beloved foremothers. They did the best they could. But being a goddess warrior for us is knowing that we have the choice not to fight all the time. Because the gremlins is out. Okay? The way this astrological energy is set up, the gremlins is out. Everybody's going to say whatever they want, desire, or need to say, even if it goes against them and where they're going towards moving forward. And the idea with that is let it be a situation where you are utilizing your words to move you forward and not backwards or keep you stagnant. Okay? Because you have a choice that maybe your foremothers didn't have before you in this type of energy of segment. And then you got celestial alignment right behind that. And grief is right behind that too. So the heart chakra is significant. So this full moon in Sagittarius is actually going to help you to enlighten, expand your vision, complete the cycles that you started Sagittarius season, past November. And that could have to do with the time that Jupiter went direct after it being retrograde since March 11th, 2025. And then it went direct on November 11th of 2025. So at that point, everything that was building up and coming to the surface while it was retrograde between March and November of last year, once it went direct, you were able, or you were giving the energy and opportunity to change what it is that you are aware of, especially when it comes to your emotional intelligence, the way you allow yourself to be nurtured and nurture what's safe to you, what's secure to you. Okay. The deep dive questions. What are your swords? The weapons you use to fight? And what are your shields? The way you defend yourself. Dare to lay the burdens down along with your swords and shields. The goddess declaration for Sekhmet is, it is safe to put yourself first. Communion is very significant because I'm smelling the wafers and the wine from church. I haven't had that in years. However, I'm smelling that. I'm smelling the wine and the bread that they provide during communion. We'll see what that's about. Okay. Let me just what? Somebody used to be an acolyte. I'm really smelling it. I mean, it could be the frankincense too, because anytime I smell frankincense in their child wise, it reminds me of that. That was my favorite part of the church when I was going to church when I was little. What? Let me get that Taylor port and no wafers, because it's literally Taylor port that they use. Well, at least most churches. If it's an Episcopalian or Catholic church, there's something about religion that's very significant. And we just talked about the full moon in Sagittarius. So you're coming to overall completing the cycle. Now I'm seeing the wheel card, the wheel of fortune. It's a destined and fated moment for change to happen. 822 on a time. Building on what you know is your power. That has to do with an exchange of energy as well. 822. Well, that could be the axis between Taurus and Scorpio, but 8 Scorpio, 22 is connected to Taurus as well as far as the master builder. So that could be a significance. The second house and the eighth house. So where you're placing your investments, where are you placing your worth? Knowing your worth now, knowing what's true to you, what's truly true to you in regards to your value. You may have been uncertain about this in the past, but not so much now. Yeah, you've repaired it, literally. Okay. Yeah, you've it's been a challenge to hold things together, especially when it comes to setting boundaries. Especially when it comes to setting boundaries. Especially when it comes to protecting your heart's frequency. Boundary is wisdom. It keeps you in your power. A guard can keep you in survival. It's armor, yes, but the essence of a guard is more so energies of the unseen realms. The best way I can describe the difference between this has to do with grief because I almost said grief. The difference between boundary and a guard is that the boundary is yours, the who, what, when, where, why is an example, and the guard will be the how. So the energy of all that is that you are an extension of that does what it is that you have no control over, and there's something already in place to handle that. Because if you attempt to do the works of something of a higher source, it's gonna place you in a position to disconnect from your heart's frequency because of how high the energy is. The one time that that's actually available, now the one time that that's actually available is when you're in your dreams. Use that as a tool. Just saw that on the top. Yes, when you're dreaming, that's when you have access to that type of energy. Especially when someone is encountering a nightmare or something that's gruesome. Practical abilities. It may be more metaphysical and esoteric as far as the dream state, but there's information usually that's what dreams do that you are to utilize in this physical reality, which is connected to practical abilities. You have what it takes, the resources. I mean, use what's around you. You may not realize, okay, so this is something about putting the puzzle pieces together, and that's what's going to allow you to take action. So, an example would be, okay, let's say, um, where you may not realize the one thing that allows you to be inspired and motivated simultaneously, which means is that you're taking action on that motivation because your motivation is internal, the inspiration is external. Example, let's say you're used to going to the gym, right? You may not realize one of the main reasons why you enjoy going to the gym is the mirrors that are around. And you can see yourself doing what it is that you do. And even if the progress is subtle, you can still see how the body is changing as you're going through release and contraction as you're doing the exercises. But you haven't been going to the gym. And now, let's say you place a mirror somewhere that allows you to see yourself from head to toe, and you set up a home gym. Let's say you haven't been working out for a while. You set yourself up with the home gym, and it's that mirror that gives you that type of inspiration and motivation simultaneously to get back in the groove, at least. It's something that's small that you may not have noticed how big it is, actually, how much of a influence it has on you taking action. Oh, wow. So 11 is very significant with the 7 and the 4, July 4th, for Aquarius holding us together. This, for some of you, this has to do with holding certain partnerships when it comes to social groups or friends, holding that together, and the way it affects the way you move through other areas of life. Yeah, because in the past you had many options, but you didn't recognize that you had that many options of something of the sort. Possibilities adjacent. Two face alternatives, preferences, 7 of Gemini, 7, 7. There's three sevens here. Tools and airplane. Tools and airplane. So this has to do with you seeing things from a broader perspective that's actually going to be very beneficial for you, because you may be in a position where you're too focused on the details. Okay. So this could be over processing, over analyzing something. You could have Virgo highly aspected, or you could have a South Node in Virgo, and that's what's being released. That's what's being released with the actual South Node core, core. Currently, at the core, at the core. Speaking of working out, your core. If you've been experiencing back pain, you have to strengthen your core. It's also going to help you with trusting your intuitive instincts as well. Very soon, this is a love angel romance card. Clearly decide what you desire so it comes to you now. I just heard, where's your focus? Let me see. Where's your focus? Where's their focus then? What is that? On choosing a new direction. On choosing a new direction, and trust yourself. Trust your reasons for choosing a new direction, not someone around you who, yeah, this is a trickster energy. Somebody be playing too much. Especially if you're talking to them about something that truly matters to you, and they're taking it as a joking matter, but they're actually, their response is not, they're not joking. Their response, it might sound as though it's complete opposite to what you're going towards, and they may be saying, oh, I'm just joking, but they're not joking. Something about make it clear, be clear, Akasha. Okay. Your guidance is divinely guided. Yeah, because you're in a position to choose a different storyline. You're in your own library of, you know, that was celestial alignment. You're in your own library of your cosmic blueprint. Now it's up to you to choose either the evolve storyline or the storyline you've been connected to that has you repeating the cycles over and over and over again. Okay, let me see. Akasha, wisdom. Wow. Okay. that moment that you this happens when you're in a moment of stillness, and you're uh this happens when you're in a moment of stillness, and you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. But the fact that you're in that moment of stillness, you it brings you towards this aha moment where you can see things very clearly. You know exactly what it is that you're going towards, and you're making a decision that's based off the wisdom you've gained from the challenges and obstacles you've gone through. That's why it's important for you to choose a new direction, because very soon it's showing up. It's actually showing up. Take a really great look at this image as well. Your reality is based on your perception. Yeah. I mean, that's okay. Wow. Alchemy. Queen Nefertiti, 38. Ah, wow. What do you know? Wisdom connected to Saturn once you learn that lesson. So that access between 4 and 10th house, Capricorn, Cancer, cardinal signs, that's be bold and make the first move. You have to be bold and make the first move, because with this 38, that's actually connected to wealth as well, and it's actually having to do with your words. 3, Gemini, Mercury, the way you communicate. But this is also the trickster energy. It was basically balancing out the warrior and the nurturer, or the mediator. The warrior and the mediator. Something about that. I know that's not what that's. There you have it. That's exactly the card that I saw in my mind's eye. So the exact way you're seeing it, trust your intuition, because it's part of you connecting with your emotions, or that's important for you to do so. Bring the heart into the situation, love into the situation is going to help you to stand your ground, because a new start is coming very soon. You have to go through it and make your way out of it. 2034 on the time right now. Yeah, something is it's you're in this you're in an ascension period. Mercury got me being a speedster right now. Matter of fact, what planetary are we at right now? Not be surprised if it's Mercury. Where this shit go? That's next. In 45 minutes, it'll be Mercury hour. We in the Venus hour right now. Well, based on my location. So be bold and make the first move. Align with trust and you'll thrive. Trust that releasing the old and the rest, whatever it's everything always happens for a reason. However, something that just recently um you've noticed that you had to release, it's helping you with the way you're connecting with your perception, because that's the Triskeli, that's a air symbol, but it's on the green, so heart. It's helping you with the way you communicate and trust what your body is telling you about a situation, not your thoughts about it, because that is the biggest trick of society as well, where Many have been accustomed to not trusting what they feel. So now it's easier to be programmed to stay in the cycle longer than you should. Therefore, you're constantly overthinking or thinking about it. You're more so taking action from your thoughts. And in most cases, when doing that without fully processing it through the body, because the body is what processes the energy and motion, the feeling, not the brain. So as long as one is disconnected from one's own power of feeling, it's very easy to have you moving around here as a puppet forever. What do you need to release? Release the old and rest, and what do you need to release? So that's very significant in regards to something could be right in your face as to what it is that you have to release. This could be a way of you going about something, processing an experience, a person, place, whatever. You're not sure of what that is, but it's actually right in front of you. The issue is having to do with can you trust yourself to make the proper decision? 3144 on the timer, 444. See from a higher perspective. Yeah, see? That's all I was saying. The eagle. Two birds are here. Very strong, prominent. Allow yourself to go through the transformation. You constantly possibly hold yourself back from going into the next phase because of a past situation. Yeah, this has to do with some of you with your throat chakra or communication. Some of you could be in a position where you're move it sort of in a misguided way where 3222 where you're testing a situation that you actually don't have to test, which is showing how deeply rooted the wound is. 838 right now, that it's time for you to release that. It's a fear of taking things to the next level. It's a fear of actually receiving what it is that you desire. So you'll be prone to connecting more with what it is that you want instead, because that feels more comfortable. Move beyond ancestral patterns. I love this card. Do I have the let me read it to y'all. If the book is over here, it should be. Um, where are you, darling? Right here? Yeah. What I put it there? What card is that? Ace of Swords. A different deck that it was behind. Ace of Swords is mental clarity despite the adversity. So choosing the truth. But what is the truth? What is your truth? What is the truth of the situation? Some of you are ignoring what that is because you're in a comfort zone. Some of y'all are afraid to actually receive what it is that you truly desire. You say you desire this and you desire that, but when it shows up, you freeze. Let's see. It's giving the vibes of stage fright in a sense. You're ready. You're great at what it is that you're about to do, but the moment it's time to do it, oh boy. Where are you? Yeah, some of you, you have to be more in the moment. That's where that anxiety is coming from. Stop rushing things. Just be in the moment. But stop allowing people to rush you. projecting their anxiety towards you, and you're not ready or equipped to alchemize that by simply saying it's not you. First, we're going to go with the eagle card that showed up here, the eagle medicine, because it did pop up as I'm looking for this elder energy. You're very close to achieving your goal, though. You just got to surrender to the divine. We'll go over it in just a bit. See from a higher perspective. Eagle medicine swirls the swelling that someone is experiencing has to do with holding yourself back. This could even be, sensing that you're bloated because you're constantly going against your intuitive gut instincts. So you keep holding on to it. Eagle medicine swirls around you, encouraging you to recognize that your views or visions may be limited at this time. Is there a chance that your own desperation, needs, or ego could be blocking you from seeing the potential in your current situation? If there are other people involved, you are being guided to see things from everyone's perspective. If you are feeling the necessity for something to change, how can you take the higher road? Know that if you have intentions that aren't for the highest purpose for all, it will only hold you back. Eagle medicine can help you change things. The eagle brings the energy of healing and love directly from the heart of Father Sky and invites you to do all things from a place of love. That's the eagle's messages. Maybe you got the throat chakra behind it. Yeah. Eagle connects to Pluto energy as well, that rules Scorpio. And Scorpio is the reflection of Taurus. That's where the 822 comes into play. Okay, so let me look at 822 then. 822 in the lexicon or Strong's numbers, well, Brown Drivers Briggs, Window, Lattice, Book of Judges 528, and Proverbs, which one? Proverbs 7 verse 6. At the window of my house, I've looked through my lattice. Let's look at that. See, I better get something to write with. Love that. Love what I'm seeing so far. So, this verse is the opening image of observation. The speaker is not inside the situation yet. The speaker is witnessing it from a higher protected place. Are you shitting me right now? See from a higher perspective. The window represents perception. The house represents inner structure, wisdom. Okay? Home, moral foundation. The lattice represents a filtered view, so seeing through a patterned veil. With that being said, we do have Reset Your Timeline or Repeat Your Life Guide that's actually going to help you with this exact message so that you can see the pattern and it's not having you repeat that cycle over and over and over again. Okay. Spiritually, this verse carries the energy of discernment before involvement. It's the moment where wisdom watches before acting. It's not impulsive, it's not blindly entering the street, it's observing patterns, movements, temptations, choices, and consequences. In the context of Proverbs 7, the speaker is watching a young man move toward danger because he lacks discernment. So this verse sets the stage. Wisdom sees what immaturity does not see. And I'm going to pause right there because that's a very powerful statement in matters of what I was just expressing about some of you possibly being in situations where people are moving in a way that reflects the old version of you. Even if you move, take certain actions, express yourself in a certain way that is not the person that you used to be. You've grown from that, but the people or person around is moving as though you're the previous person or the one that they used to know. So they respond to the partnership, the connection. Um, Someone lacks in conviction. This could just be saying with someone, we're going from one thing to the other, so keep up. This could be where someone is just saying things just to get their way. However, this is for either those of you who may not realize where you're the one doing that, or you're in a situation where someone is doing that towards you, where they're just saying certain things just to get into your space. Especially if you're someone who has evolved, that is the most spiritually, emotional, mental, and physical thing anyone who lacks discernment can do. Because now you're messing with universal and spiritual law. This is why when people get into situations and they mishandle, that experience, the lesson has to be learned through things that they see around them. This could be sickness, this could be people passing away. It gets real when you're really messing with someone who's truly aligned, connected to source, a seer, oracle, high priest, high priestess, God, whichever terminology or verbiage you decide to use. But the point is, when you are first and foremost someone who's comfortable with being with self, and then you encounter an energy that tests that because they're still wounded, and it happens more than once, and it could be a situation where it's happened more than once because you didn't see where you weren't actually the issue, you weren't the problem, you were more so the person that was conducting the test without testing the person puts themselves in the position of that test themselves, and you just have to show up more so as an observer, basically, to determine if they pass this cycle or they don't. So, the deeper message of Proverbs 7, verse 6 is that you're being shown something before you're meant to engage with it. The window is awareness. The verse is at the window, which is awareness, of my house. That's your inner covering. I look through my lattice. So, at the moment of awareness of your inner covering, you look through your spiritual filter at the situation. That's basically what that verse is saying. So don't rush into what you're witnessing. Stay in the house of the wisdom first. Look carefully, let the pattern reveal itself, because it's going to. It's going to. The key is in that situation, if it's something that you used to blame yourself for, and you've given a situation a chance after chance after chance, when you're now looking at this from the position of discernment and you're staying in the house of wisdom, interesting way to put that, intriguing way to put that, rather, because the house of wisdom, I mean, you can look at that as the house of Sagittarius or Capricorn. You're seeing the way your feelings play a major role in the way you utilize your feelings to connect to what it is that you know, and the use and action of your willpower as well. So, mm, you got me saying so much right now. What was I saying? So don't rush into what you're witnessing. Stay in the house of wisdom first. Look carefully. Let the pattern reveal itself. Yeah, because it's a time, In regards to deciding what it is that you desire clearly, because it's showing up to you very soon, just don't allow yourself to repeat something that no longer serves you, basically, is what we're getting at. For some of you, your guard has everything to do with the statements such as, well, I will never trust this, or I don't trust people. That statement itself really indicates a lot of healing that has to happen, a lot of shadow work that has to happen, because that's all up to you in regards to 45:55 on the timer right now, in regards to the way you are experiencing that, the way you're experiencing trust. If you don't trust people, then it has everything to do with where you constantly place your self-worth to even get to a point where you're seeing that this is a type of group of people or person that you can trust. Back to the energy of the second house and the eighth house, Taurus, having to do with your self-worth, your core values, your emotional security that leads to material security, and that is also connected to cash too. And when it comes to money, you're looking for, financial institutions, a bank, to actually hold it there for you, or to, something in regards to investing as well. But making sure that you're investing that trust with the proper energies, so that way you're not turning something that's sacred into something that's toxic. You know what I'm saying? So let's go to the Elder card, by the way. That's what we went into this book for, from jump. It's interesting because I just told myself I may have to go to the table of contents to find it, which is significant, but then I realized exactly where it was. But that's having to do with going back to the drawing board here for some of you, and seeing, refreshing your own memory in regards to, you know what's your plan, what's your goal, where you going with life, for real. The Elder card, we finally approached it. Move beyond the limitations. This is what it means. Move beyond the limitations that have been set for you by family members, past and present. Know that the energy of your spirit is more powerful than genetics and behavioral patterns. The Aboriginal people of the oldest tribal people, the Aboriginal people are the oldest tribal people still living on the planet. Their hunter gatherer culture and ancient spirituality are rooted in tradition and balance with the earth. So the Aboriginal ancestors are offering you not only wisdom that will help you heal and adapt to ever-changing planet, but also an understanding of what a spiritual life should be. The extended message of this card, which is why I love it so much. The elder is the ancestor who comes with the message of healing change. He is the embodied soul, yet he has had journeys that go beyond the physical. Therefore, he represents a reclamation of power. When he appears, it's an acknowledgement that you have the capacity to move beyond the limitations that have been placed upon you. And this is subconsciously, because this is at the bottom of the deck. This is the 95% of the energy that's controlling the way you make decisions, but you're using your conscious reality that may be more so connected to things that are not even of you, to attempt to override what's going on subconsciously. So that's causing that level of static or stagnation, or feeling as though you're fatigued, or you find yourself constantly worried, or focusing or on what's next, and not fully being present in the moment. So if you have had expectations of success, failure, sadness, or even sickness placed upon you by you or your family, it's important to know that you are here to credit your own story. There goes the Akasha and choosing your storyline. We just brought it full circle already. This card represents personal healing that will bring healing to your family lineage, past, present, and future. Know that you get to decide what you take on. And also know that your ancestors are coming for you are rooting for you. Wow. Okay. Your ancestors are coming for you and rooting for you. They're coming to root for you. Okay. And are sorry for any setbacks they have created for you. That's why I love that card so much. That little thingamajiggy part right there. So yes. And then take care of your needs. Wow, speaking of the pack, it's time for you to leave the pack, leave the nest. Whether this is physically, mentally, because until some of you change your environment, what it is you're surrounded by, you're going to constantly move in the essence of who you were in the past because your surroundings is still of that, you know? So you're just giving the signal to the universe that this is where you're comfortable at. Especially in matters of something that you're comfortable with that no longer serves you. It's not speaking to something that you don't care for or love. It's just that's not the condition. That's not the space. That's not the experience. You should still be um, allowing yourself to be entertained by or entertaining for that matter. Right. Okay. Ooh. Shit. Actually, let me get it here so it doesn't. Welcome in, y'all. Gratitude for hitting that thumbs up energy button. Much love. Something's missing. You feel as though something's missing. Yeah, somebody feels I'm in your business. Well, if you hit, I'm gonna be in your business because you hit. And I see you being here. What's this? 12th house. The moon in the 12th house. Sheesh. Oh God. If for one, because it doesn't seem as though it's y'all that's in here. You could know someone that has a moon in the 12th, and the moon in the 12th is someone who's quite um this is given the energy of prophets and seers, someone who can really see things before they happen out of premonitions, dreams. The dream state is wild for a moon in the 12th. Okay, it's just you're talking about the moon that connects the dreams and the house of dreams with the 12th house both together. That type of energy would have to be mindful of the phases. Someone has a moon in Aries because I keep touching my nose. Like that. Let me put this together because the moon right now waxing crescent, new moon into the crescent phase. And in the sign of Gemini, it's about engaging and interacting. We begin talking things through, asking questions and gathering information. We just mentioned moon in the 12th. The information is coming through someone's dreams. You could be a Cancer rising, especially with the moon in Gemini. Yeah, it would be in the 12th house right now. The challenge with that is its distraction. It's because it's easy to jump from one idea to another without completing anything. The correction is to stay engaged with what you started and allow your understanding to develop through interaction. If you stay focused, clarity builds. If you scatter, nothing settles. Sirens, 901. Where's 901? Treacherous, deceitful. I thought after she has done all these things, she will return to me. Excuse me? Hold on now. But she didn't return. Her treacherous sister, Judah, saw it. Jeremiah 3. What is going on in Jeremiah 3? Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's look at this all through this thing. Okay? We're going to do this way first. I get into my little grid. Jeremiah metaphysically. Well, yeah. That's moon 12 energy. Prophet. It signifies the exalted state of thought that connects us with divine mind and demands that our religious thoughts, aka Israelites, be faithful in observance of divine law. Aaron. Someone's name could actually literally be Jeremiah and Aaron that you may have met at some point in your life, which is significant to a memory. It's something about a memory. That's the missing piece, a memory. But the memory, what triggers the memory, what allows you to remember. For some of you, this has to do with, okay, can you imagine, or can you? Not can you? It's more so. Here's what it is. There's something about an outfit when you were younger that you used to wear that you still remember. And it's something that is that it sticks in your memory where either something didn't fit, but you loved it so much that was the only size, and whoever you were shopping with took your word for it. This could have been shoes or a pair of sneakers or something, but there's something about that part of your life that is very significant to a missing piece. Missing piece when it comes to you connecting with the divine mind. Now, 3 and 7. So I'll pull that up just now. I did this over here somewhere. Greetings, welcome in. Bro, what is that? Hold on, that's all. Yeah, okay, I got it. Verses 7 and 10. 37, 37, 310, March 7th, March 10th, as Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter in Pisces, that in order for, in regards to wealth and expansion, you would have to bring forth what's in your imagination. Because your ideas are from the unseen. In Jeremiah 3:7, God is speaking about Israel. After everything she did, he says, I thought she would return to me. That carries grief. There's that. I've been saying that shit from the time we started. Something about grief in here. That carries grief, not weakness. Grief. It's the pain of watching someone experience consequences, receive warnings, see the pattern, and still refuse to come back into truth. Then Judah sees all of this, the lion, but this is also speaking to the heart energy. Judah watches Israel's rebellion, downfall, and spiritual adultery. Judah has evidence. Judah has an example. Judah has every reason to course correct. In Jeremiah 3:10, but Jeremiah 3:10 says Judah still does not return with her whole heart. She returns only in pretense, which is the sharpest part to that though, because Israel represents open rebellion. Judah represents hidden rebellion covered by religious appearance. Israel did not return. Judah acted as though she returned, but her heart stayed divided. So on a deeper level, a person can look corrected but not be converted. A person can appear sorry but not be surrendered. A person can speak the proper language but still withhold heart. We just said all of this, literally, where people or you experience situations where someone is saying something just to get into the environment, to your space, or to whatever. A person can come back physically, socially, or verbally while still being inwardly loyal to the same patterns. This connects directly to the difference between a boundary and a guard. God's boundary here is not pettiness, it's a covenant truth. It's naming what is real. It's not accepting performance as repentance. It's not mistaking proximity for intimacy. It's not, confusing, oh, they came back around with, they returned with their whole heart. It's not confusing those two. A guard would say, oh, I would never receive anyone again. The boundary says return must be whole, honest, transparent, proven in truth, and not performed in pretense. Jeremiah 3 is all about exposing a false return. So something may have came back around only for the, let me tell you something. Yeah, fifth house, someone you dated or something of that nature, something you were creating, you were in a position to say this has to do with something you're creating, then you have someone from your past that comes back around, family, lover, whatever. And all they're doing is carrying the energy of a distraction. That's the main thing about it. And now what's not the most smartest thing for that energy or that vessel to do, especially if you reach the point where you've seen this already, you know how to, you know the lesson, but you're now in a position of applying the wisdom. Unfortunately, you're the one that they have to encounter, basically is what I'm getting to. You're the one that they would have to encounter as far as, okay, one has already gained the wisdom when it comes to, as I was mentioning in the previous live, seeing when someone is moving distorted, especially if you've seen the pattern already. And in speaking to a memory, this could have to do with where you've been constantly taking on the blame as to why something didn't go through its full fulfillment, when in reality, you seen this time around the distortion as it was moving, and you got to really realize, oh, wait, hold up. That's when, a karmic debt has to now be paid on a much higher, more intense level when it comes to someone playing around with someone's energy, especially if you get to a point where you're expressing to someone, you're being an open book, you're being vulnerable with this person about who you are, what you do, how you go about life. If there's someone you've known in the past, not getting them to see how you've changed, but just feeling the joy to be able to just talk about that, as if, just telling your story, and then decide to do some funny shit that they used to do in the past. That's the worst thing they could have ever done to you. That's breaching spiritual law, because you're a conduit of it. You're a conduit of that spiritual law. So to come against you with that type of energy is just on some, either you dumb as hell, or you so deeply rooted within your wounds, comfortable there, and blaming other people as to why things doesn't move forward, when they're the ones to really, you know what I'm saying? They're the ones that are responsible for what it is that they are experiencing at that point, or why something isn't moving forward. And then if you make a decision, not if, and in making a decision, you decide to go about your business, as I was mentioning that new moon in Taurus video, when you're no longer tolerating people's shit, and you decide to move forward from situations that no longer serve you, now you selfish, now you cold, or for some of y'all, you may have people who tell you got abandonment issues, this is why you leaving. No, 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 no. The real thing is here, okay, is that you've been observed, you collective have been observing this energy, and every step it has been taken, paying attention to everything they say, whether it's through a text, whether it's verbal, or your dreams, or the sensations you feel in your body when you're having a conversation with that person, especially if you're here on this channel. Whether you recognize this is something you're capable of doing and enhancing that, this is something you're still aware of. Now, for those of you who may not even be fully aware of that, this is where you can find yourself in situations where now people are placing the blame on you as to why something hasn't moved forward. And it's until you recognize, no, you're the observer of the situation. You're the one that's carrying the wisdom and discernment. You know what I'm saying? You're the one that's not confusing, something returning with, they return with their whole heart. Something can return, but that doesn't mean that they return with their whole heart. And when you can see the pattern, you can actually see whether someone has returned with their whole heart. However, which way you consider the word anointed, that's not an energy you play with. That is not an energy you play with. Taurus. Here we go. The energy around you shows the abundance of nature. It is rich, earthy, and productive, yet relaxed and slow. I love that because it's speaking to that, really allowing your self-worth to come to the surface, allowing yourself to really take action from the essence of your core values being revitalized, and you actually taking steps moving forward in your life based on that. And instead of you rushing through something, you're really in this observing state. So this is an energy of someone who's observing while they're in an experience, because there's another part of it where you're observing but not in the experience. That's when you're reflecting on something, when you're observing the experience that you've had in the past. When something is currently happening, you could be the one that's experiencing the experience, or you can be the position where you're experiencing something but you're also the observer while you're experiencing it. And while you're the observer, now this helps you to be in a position where, you know, you can really see exactly how things are playing out. Where instead of something just coming back to place, you're more aware of things that are coming back into alignment. where you can tell again if something returns within the vessel, but that vessel doesn't come with the heart though. Where you can tell the difference when someone is apologizing because their apology has to be, something that you would have to avoid it because it doesn't reflect the changes yet. 1441 could be significant as well. Let's look because I just saw that up there. It was 1441. Work that out. Let me see. Let me get the proper pronunciation of this here. Gidoni. Gidoni. Okay. Energy of Gideon. Gidoni. Let's look at this deeper. Destroyer of era. War type of energy. Magnesium is going to be significant here for some of you. And what else? What was that just now? It'll come back if it's supposed to. Gidoni. Father of Abidan. Abidan was the man who God chose the tribe of Benjamin. Sagittarius, okay. Seeing something. Denial. Speaking of the heart chakra not being in alignment to it. Because grief is not just, someone, passing on and you miss that energy in the physical sense. Grief is also seeing someone who has amazing potential to experience something in their life and they're in denial about it. That shit is also grief too. That's why when it comes to shadow work, it shouldn't be a lifelong process, but it tends to be because many have a narrow perspective on, especially that energy of grief, where it's just connected to, someone who's transitioned or, someone you could be grieving a relationship or someone. It's you can tell, you can feel that then too, actually. But many don't see that as grief. And there's a lot of times you're attempting to manifest something new into your life, but you're still holding on to this situation that no longer serves. Let me tell you something. Because I'm great at that part of life. When it comes to you shifting out of a relationship that no longer serves you, 333, very interesting. What page is this? 337. What's on 333? Let me not do. Okay. The most important thing when it comes to shifting out of that energy is recognizing nothing outside of you is going to save you through that. Nothing outside of you is going to allow you to come back to yourself. You would literally have to sit there and accept the actual fact of that experience. You are this way, they are that way. It's not anything that can actually create a bond, create an alignment that can be successful. What makes it difficult to move on past that is by not accepting the simplicity that they're moving this way, you're moving that way. It cannot come into alignment. And most people are, comfortable with that to the point that they step into a position of compromising. Compromising is putting both parties or those involved in a position where now you're not fully happy. You know you're not fully happy because there's something you would have to let go of and not fully heal from. So it still lingers energetically, even when you're doing things that are in alignment to bring something back together. You know what I'm saying? So I just went to page 333 and it brought up Gezer, sharply cut off. A sentence, every sentence has a period, and that's where it ends. Keep putting commas on your situations, semicolons, colons, and dashes. To close out a cycle, you won't have to put that period. Literally, to close out a cycle, periods, menstrual cycles. You see what we did there? You're going to have to shed that home that at one point was designed to be its incubator, or, a space where it can stand on, a foundation. You don't have to, especially if you are in a situation where people just keep doing the same thing and you see the pattern exactly what they're doing, especially when it comes to a pattern, right? And you are in a situation where someone claims that they know you. And you clearly know that they don't because they constantly test that old pattern. This is where respect comes into play, even in terms of 77, 11, 21, 22 on the time. Just went to 23. This is where respecting each other comes into play. Let's say this is someone from your past, it doesn't have to be a lover. It's 77, 22. Doesn't have to be a lover. It's just someone that comes back from your past, and they attempt to constantly put you back in that space that they used to know you in because they're comfortable there. That shit is so fucking disrespectful. Especially when it's something that is not beneficial to you, let alone them. Even more so them, they don't realize that this shift that you've had with yourself is actually going to be much more connected to an abundance of prosperity in the old version of you. But then that shows you, when you have the eyes, all three, to see the pattern, you can see, doesn't matter what somebody has going on. A lot of people are financially stable, or they're doing well, however, still unhappy. Have a great connection to water as far as currency, but that can also depend too, because people can be in positions where they're doing certain things where they don't have to do as much. And their whole life, all they did was take the shortcut to even get to that point. They're comfortable with doing things and taking the shortcut to get there, which means they don't have the endurance or capacity to do things on a long term. Long term is Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius. And it's also the energy of the star. It would even be disrespectful of me to give them a whole different element as far as an energy in regards to the way that they're operating or moving in life, because it's not moving as an elemental force. It's moving more so as an entity that's in the void and is just taking space within the vessel. And now it encounters you, who sees the pattern, or remembering the patterns that you're building up to clearly see through. So when you make a decision in regards to what I was just expressing earlier, in regards to, when it comes to moving on from situations, you're the one that have to decide that within yourself. There's nothing outside of you that's going to help you to move past that. That has to happen within you and what it is that you're reflecting on when it comes to something that no longer serves you, but It had its moment. It had its time. It almost moves as a fad, basically. FAD, D as in David. You know what I mean? So you just have to be real honest with yourself. There's a lot of people rolling around here that are wounded on so many levels. They just love to play games. Tell you something. Don't don't be messing with this energy over here on that type of note. And y'all don't play yourselves either in these situations. Nah, you see something that repeats itself, and you said it once, possibly even twice, and they heard you, so much so to the point they repeated that shit back to you, and still move in the way that is not in alignment to, you know what I'm saying, knowing what's up, knowing what you done stepped into. That's basically the energy of somebody saying, "Oh, I'm allergic to this," and still eating it. Are we upright? 7 of Cups. Look at that shit. Queen of Swords. Say it as it is. Say it as it is. Let me see. Ritual and ceremony. Ritual is a habit. Can acquire all the treasures of heaven and earth. Yeah. This is okay. This Queen of Swords energy coming out here in this card 38 as well. Wow. With the sword of fire and that Hierophant rod. Hierophant holds this too. So this could be something that a cycle that you're breaking in regards to generations. A tradition where people are settling in relationships. $38. Moon white. Okay. That'd be a full moon. That would be the energy. And it has to do with the book of Ezra. Ezra talks a lot about bloodlines. Yeah, descendants. Nehemiah, let me see. That as well. Both of these verses are connected to descendants. So this would be your 7th house energy. That's relationships. 929, Archangel Michael energy. What about the collective 7th house energy? You got the 9 of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. Wow. I'm really in y'all business at this point. 3828. The 9 of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. 9 of Swords is an energy of anxiety, unable to sleep. Over analyzing the past situation. You don't have to. The answer's right in front of you. The answer's right in front of you. You know when people say it is what it is? Which is usually a statement after the fact. Because life is what you make it, right? So if it is what it is, already happened. This is something that already happened. Now, you could be having sleepless nights about a situation where there was a lack of loyalty or an allegiance. Because this card, Page of Pentacles, says loyalty, allegiance, friendship, and reconciliation. This is not a great feeling, because this is what I mean about the whole grief point, where someone self-inflicted grief because they're so connected to the way their life has been, and their ego is getting in the way as to the way they handle something. Receive it just as it arrived. Receive it just as it arrived. So if you notice a situation where, but because you can tell when someone is losing that, that passion, that people call it a honeymoon stage. Your whole relationship with the person that you feel as though is your person should be a honeymoon life. Speaking of moon white, let that be moon gold. But you can sense when, for lack of a better word, when someone is losing interest. You know what I'm saying? And so many are prone to do what they can to make something work, man. Fuck that, okay? If that's the path that person or a situation is taking, let them take that path. It's happening for a reason. You got your highest self, universe, ancestors possibly making that energy move that way, because it's not, that shit ain't adding up. It's not in alignment to who you are, who you've become. It was great for what it was. But if something or someone cannot see you fully for all that you are, do not allow yourself to be in a veiled experience of going through grief because you're trying, which is a fucking insult to doing, to make something work. And that person doesn't even desire to be there. Allow yourself to just let that go, because the moment you do that, do you know how quickly the doors open of opportunities of exactly what it is you desire, and way more than you can even imagine. Twenty-one, 33, 933. Because the same way you're sure that it's different when you're making something work, when both parts are doing their part, both are participating. Because once you start seeing somebody that starts going on that path of being very short answered in a sense, or losing interest, and if you attempt to make that work, this is when people get into the phase of managing a relationship instead of participating in it. Love is not a job. It's not your job. It's a much higher power than that. Shit, they even got the book called Job for that too. Just over broke. Love is too powerful just to be just over broke. Type of vibes. Just over this shit breaking and falling the fuck apart, and you attempting them 8833 as I'm saying that. You're just over the point where it's about to just fall apart anyway. Which means if you're just over the point that it's about to fall apart, what's standing below that? A faulty foundation. There are many tools that come into play, right, to rebuild that. The same way with you and this person. This is where the energy of grief comes into play, where shit about to get brutal. This is why people save situations, because that's the last thing you desire for anyone to feel, that they missed out on something. Listen, it's the year of the fire horse. And so much more. We're not going to even place it on a certain time of the calendar. This is the moment. If you're here listening to this message, whether if it's a live or a replay, trust the wisdom of your body when it's telling you when something is honoring you devoted to you the same way you have the capacity to be devoted to them. Trust the wisdom of your body when you feel as though something's off. Now I can say that, and it's, let's say, in the sense of a cross watcher, right? Someone who's on the opposite side of that. I can say that, but they're moving in a wounded state and feeling as though that statement is for them. No, that statement is connected to that energy being the one that's actually going to miss out and searching for that same energy elsewhere, and they'll never be able to find it until they find themselves. Now, this could be cases now when the person, does find themselves, they can realign with that energy. But what do they say? Time waits for no one, right? Especially when you're, say something, especially when you're in the position of where you are thriving, you are doing everything and all things in your life that have to do with you taking leaps of faith. When you get into that position of taking leaps of faith, everything around you has to reflect that too. Some leaps of faith have to do everything with you trusting. And because you trust yourself, you can thrive. Because when you trust yourself, now you're making the proper decisions when it comes to people that you invest. That worth, trust, they don't call that in the financial system for no reason now. It's all right there in many areas and many areas of life, right? Because some of y'all could be holding on to a situation from the past where you're wondering, should I say something to this person or should I not? Based on everything we just said, let's say, okay, now there's about to be some type of FaceTime conversation at this point. Let's say you're the type of person where, in any type of dynamic of relationships, because that's what's coming through here, seventh house vibes. In any type of relationship, you're the one that's always making the bold move, the first bold move to bring something together. Until you recognize your value. When you recognize your value, there may be a moment where you don't have to, but the energy presents itself where you make that first bold move again. This will be moving beyond attempting to make something work or trying to make something work. Before you knowing all of this about you and having the wisdom about yourself, you would do things and try to make it work. This is where when people get into situations and it goes back and forth, the moment that it breaks completely is when it just takes one person within that partnership to realize, okay, so this continues to happen. 9333, this continues to happen. 333 is literally where the Gezar statement is sharply cut off as we're saying this right now, and it's 939. When you're in a position, right, to now cut it off completely, it only takes one person to do that. And it has everything to do with why. Now you're seeing why you make the first bold move, where that energy comes from within yourself, what you're seeing when you do that in regards to how you're connecting with a person one-on-one. Because this has to do with the one-on-one situation. Again, this doesn't have to just be a lover. This could be a family member, something that you used to do as far as career-wise, whatever the case may be. It's a one-on-one situation. It has to do with another person, rather. Um, you go through this cycle again, but with wisdom, so that way you can completely cut through and out of it. in a way that you didn't have the capacity to do so before because the wisdom wasn't fully developed yet. And now when it does, you're seeing the exact cycle happen over. And it's the same exact way that usually happens once you've obtained the wisdom. In order for you to apply it, a lesson comes back around that you're comfortable with, so you can see it off of what it is. So that way, when you see a situation that is, for the moment that it appears it's foreign to you, it's not so foreign because you've had the proper practice in this particular situation to make the proper judgment or decision. When people talk about judgment day, that's every day. In every moment you make a decision. Okay? So, some of you may be in that position where, you know, every time this comes on, it reminds me of Usher. I wanna be loved and it's good. But you may be in a position where this is the last time you're doing this again. But you're gonna see it differently, so you don't have to ever do it again. Now, some of you don't even have to place yourself into that experience ever again. You just see why now much clearer, exactly why you made the decision, so you feel more at home with the choices you've made. Especially if it's been something 9630, especially if it's been something that you've been going back and forth with. So one moment. That's where we at with it. And while the sun is in Taurus anyway, that has everything to do with defining your value. Defines your value. What we got coming up? Let your friends help you. Some of you, that's the issue. Tell me who you with, and I'll tell you who you are. That's the way that go. And that's even in the book of Corinthians. Show me more about this. That's your problem. That's literally your problem. The worst card in this deck at that. One of them. Imprisonment. That's the problem. Oh well. Seven wolf at the bottom of the deck. It could all be so simple. 777. We just picked that up earlier. What's up? Welcome in. What could be so simple is just going through nothing but struggles because it's unnecessary work that's into play. What's unexpected income? We got the main male pathway. Let's see where this is going. Let your friends help you. What is this about? Yeah, downloads are very fast while Mercury is a Gemini. Yo. What is that? That's only been since the live, though. See, yeah. Marriage came out in reverse. Let your friends help you. That's crazy. Tell me who you with, and I'll tell you who you are. You're your best advisor right now. Besides these lives, you're your best advisor right now. Mm-hmm. Privileged lady at the bottom of the deck. Yeah. Know your worth. You know what's the best decision for you. Especially with that Gezer energy of sharply cutting off. And I mention this quite a bit, usually throughout the lives. When you come across my frequencies, because you're at a point in your life where it's time for you to cut some shit out. It's beyond you being okay with it. It's beyond that. You know what I'm saying? This is part of the contract of life that you've taken on. And once you get to a certain point, if you don't remember, certain energies are put in place to remind you of that. So that way you can evolve and experience the greatest version of a relationship, of a partnership. Mm-hmm. Career path as well, occupation. But this is also about mending yourself. She's sitting here sewing clothes, stitching it back up. It's about mending yourself so you know what works for you, what's best for you. Okay? Yeah, mature woman. There it is. That's the wisdom energy. That's that emotional maturity. Absolutely. It's time for you to make a decision. There it is. As a sentence says, period. That's why you came across this path. 8. To step back into your power so that way you're making wiser investments when it comes to your work. Confirmation. It literally just cut out. It literally just cut out and the card change came out 9. It refreshed the screen. Another 9, 36. What was far away from you at one point is not as far as you think. No, it is not. let's go. Let me make a few adjustments here. I'll open this back up now. There we go. Oh, it's on top. Let me see. Let's put it to the bottom too. Okay. Change. Message of concern in reverse. High honor, because you see your value. Some of you may have somebody blocked at this point. Or you know what? When you get to a point that you really just let something go, you don't even invest your energy in blocking or doing all that other extra shit. At that point, they're easily in the same position as someone else that you've never even had any type of relations with. It's just okay, it's whatever at this point. That's another message too then. For some of you, when it comes to, let's say you're talking to somebody who still follows their exes, it could really be nothing at all. However, use your discernment, your intuition, and the way you feel about that. Use your discernment and intuition, not your wounds, to determine how you're gonna go about, being with someone who still has a way of connecting with people that they've been sexually intimate with. You know what I'm saying? That's to each its own. It's not just my life that this happens with, though. I recognize that it goes in and out for someone else as well. Okay, well, so it's not just mine. But that's another powerful reader, too. Let me see. Message of concern. It landed right on top of courtship. I'm telling you. Great fortune, 26. Show me collective with this. Let's do it this way. Yeah. There you go. If you're looking to obtain your own personal message, the information will be in the pinned comment. It should have been pinned. I'm not seeing it. No, it is. Or not. Yes, pinned, but why am I not seeing it pinned? Message of concern. Knight of Swords. This is the one card throughout these cards that has to do with, look at this, in opposition to a higher level of commitment. Page of Pentacles for the second time it shows up. So that's a repeating message with the Queen of Pentacles. The living field of something being secure, rooted, and grounded is solely up to you. Do not give that to, anyone else. Do not allow another to make a decision for you. Do not allow circumstances of people that you have around you to dictate or to determine what you're doing in your life. People have to be real strong-willed. Look at that. The fucking King of Wands, that has to do with willpower. People have to be extremely strong-willed to really be around situations that are not solely in alignment to them and still be able to make decisions that reflect them. Not everybody has the capacity or the built to do that. No. The Queen of Cups. The main thing that came through with this 959, emotional sensitivity. Making a change when it comes to how you move with the emotional sensitivity that you have, especially when it comes to utilizing your willpower, your courage, your presence. This is about putting ideas together, taking action on them. But the main thing also with this is making sure that your voice is heard, not to be understood, but heard. So that way you're not moving through these situations and feeling as though, well, shit, I should have, I wish I could have said something. Which is why I highly suggest don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because that's going to help you to make the best decisions. Because when you're vulnerable, it allows you to be, even if you're an open book, that still doesn't mean a person knows everything about you. Because there's still things that you have thoughts about that you don't express out to other people. But when you're in a dynamic with someone else and you're vulnerable and you're opening up to them, that's the best thing you could do so you can make the best decisions thereafter. Based on the way that they take action, based on the way that they respond or react to your presence. King of Wands in this position. The Queen of Wands. I'm telling you, this shit is just... Some of y'all could be having somebody who's just sitting... It might surprise you who this is that decides to come back around. Because you probably in a position of not giving a fuck at this point. It's just whatever. I mean, this L could appear as a window. A window. We're speaking of window. But somebody prefers to keep it in this position. There's something going on with the masculine's libido. Something's off with that. Something's off with that. Or action taken. Someone doesn't communicate their visions clearly, because that's the one thing that the King of Wands knows to do very well. This is a handsome and someone who's extremely handsome. It could be someone of a darker complexion too, King of Wands. The wand be wanding too. But the fact that it showed up in this position sideways, one, the vision is not clear, therefore it can't be communicated clearly. Basically, the energy of inspiration alone is not sufficient, because it's structure and accountability that transforms a vision into reality. Somebody can have the structure, can have all the tools, but to hold themselves accountable for at least taking action, that may be non-existent. Some of y'all masculines in here, if that's something you doing, but then you calling this woman the love of your life, get it the fuck together. Get it the fuck together. And I can easily say I'm not coming at you, because I'm not. I'm a fire sign, so it's either you specifically a Sagittarius. Because my Leos, they be on there until they get the growling. Now everybody got back the fuck up. Stop playing. Because something is definitely on the way. But look at the energy. This one over here, sideways looking this way. black cat energy on some. I see every dimension that say exactly how you're about to move, the moves you made before, why you made them. You may not even know why you made them, but you made them anyway. She sees you. She sees you fully, clearly, precisely. This is an energy you don't play with. Because this is an energy that when she walks in the room, 111:30, when she walks in the room, shit. Before that energy walks into the room, everybody's already looking at the door. Something is coming. Fuck that up if you decide to. Don't want to. Let me see, what's this? See, that mental conflict. That mental conflict. This is a moon and Libra card. Emotions connected to memories when it comes to a significant one-on-one relationship. This is why it's important that when you leave a situation, go take your ass somewhere and heal before you get into something else and deceive yourself over again and then blame it on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. It's you dropped the conflict, the mental conflict, but then you picked up the mental conflict again without the mental clarity after the adversity you've had. For some of you, there are two significant relationships in the past that's keeping you blind to the actual one that you're supposed to actually be with. No, we don't do that over here because we're not weak. About gang stuff. You don't get gang stuff when you moving that energy. Funny thing is though, somebody actually attempted that nonsense on TikTok, and they learned real quick they gonna have to take care of that stomach ulcer though, because you got the right one. You gonna have to handle that stomach ulcer, because that's what happens when people get into a space where all they do is just stay in this negative 11333 on the timer right now. When people just operate through this misuse of their gut instincts, their intuitive instincts, now you're developing toxicity so intense that is creating holes within certain organs, and that can all be avoided. 11355, as I just said. That what's this, two of swords? This has to do with something is not spiritually aligned. It's not. It's really not, actually. Something is not spiritually aligned. It's not. That's why something falls apart. It's not spiritually aligned. As, this could be accepting where someone receives how much game you allow people to talk into you, to you. Because the Five of Wands was at the bottom of the deck. And the Five of Wands has to do with competition, or where someone moves as though that they're the prize, but they're moving from a wounded state. It's off. It's completely off. Yeah, it's completely off. Completely off. It's the cards are doing that themselves. They're standing up, and it goes the Five of Wands still, and the Five of Swords back again. Yeah, this is ugh. This is when someone appears charming, but they're appearing charming to an energy that can see right through them and will play that game right along with them, not realizing that that's going to be your karma at that point, or lesson. How long does one have to go through that course or lesson? Depending on where one is connected to their spirit and their soul and their heart space. Because if one was connected to their heart, they'll be able to recognize this energy and not attempt to be foolish with it. Especially with already being aware with this frequency. This is how this Queen of Wands energy moves. The same way sunflowers follow the sun. It's vitality, it's life force energy. Six of Cups. Why did it come out in this position? Because this could be a past life situation, whether it fits in this life and something from before, or an energy that you always encounter in so many lives for you to actually take on the role of the one who's the observer while the person's going through their lesson, or you're the one that's in the lesson. Eight of Wands in reverse. And another one behind it. The Page of Wands. That's given that feels as though that's a Walking Dead. That's a Walking Dead energy. Somebody moving around here as an as a zombie. It's giving that type of vibe. Show me collective. Show me collective. Show me collective energy. Why did we block that? Wow. It was just 11717. That's why did we block that? The Tower card comes out. You understand your actual role. You're the Tower. Are you the wow? With the Devil card at the bottom. Okay, let me see. Show me collective. Okay, so you're the one that actually you're the proctor of the exam. Is that the correct verbiage? For whatever reason, Bob Proctor could be of significance too. A person who monitors, yeah, during an exam, literally, yeah, an officer. Yeah, you're the proctor of this. That's exactly what came through with that. This is the prime example. So that's you, collective. This is the prime example of attempting to work something out because you know that you are the proctor of the exam. I may have to I almost said retaliate. I may have to yeah. Let me change the title of this. You're the proctor of the karmic lesson. Retaliate. You don't. There's nothing you have to retaliate on for. Let me see. I have to this side though. Okay, there we go. Instead of I put OG. You know what? And show me the energy around collective. Show me the energy around collective. It's a reverse card. Someone, are you shitting me? Y'all can look these cards up yourself. This is you, the Tower and the Ten of Pentacles. You bring people their reward. The energy around you is someone who hasn't learned their lesson yet. This is literally the card of completing the cycle and receiving the reward. The reward is actually having to do with experiencing unconditional love within themselves and with others, especially in a divine partnership. The heart of it, Nine of Pentacles. Some of them are so deeply wounded with grief within the heart chakra, the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, the root chakra, the wounds of that, or the demons of that, which is a lower vibrational emotion. For the heart is grief. For the heart is grief. For the solar plexus, you got between the solar plexus and the sacral, you have guilt and shame, and for the root chakra, it's fear. Tell me more. This ad over here says unlock the ultimate truth. And why are they choosing? Why the energy around collective not choosing to heal? Why is the energy around collective not choosing to heal? The Justice card is none but major arcanas. The Sun card. That's there's something here about denial. Three of Cups, Mercury and Cancer. Denying the way they feel, actually. Denial of feelings, which sits in the body from the heart chakra to the root. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, and it came out sideways. This is an energy that feels as though they're moving. The one that's being examined is moving as though that they are the proctor. 123 when I said that. Yeah. The one that's being examined is moving as if they're the proctor. And that's the problem. Mm-hmm. What are they holding on to? There goes the Page of Pentacles for the third appearance. What are they? The past? What's this energy of the past? Mother issues. Something pertaining to the mother. This could even be situations that occurred while the child was in the womb. Three of Wands, coming or going, but it felt as though they came into this world with that womb. Interesting. Came into the world with it. What's this? The Page of Swords. They're sitting there on the sidelines, constantly studying and studying and studying, observing, quote unquote observing, but they're actually procrastinating. Literally. This is the card of having to make a choice out of many options. 124-44. To move forward with victory and success. Jupiter and Leo. Jupiter will go into Leo by July. The end of June into July. Let me. Gratitude for the thumbs up, y'all. Y'all are doing amazing with it. That's what's up. Let me let y'all vibe really quickly while I get something that's about what 2 minutes. I'm here when I'm here in my head. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Amazing. That was a vibe. Now, okay. Honestly, yeah. I might be switching platforms at this point. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Let's get a conclusion for you. Final message. Yeah. Oh, you got three. The main one is the frog with the hawk at the bottom of the deck. Main message: you are being guided to detach from the mundane and envision your heart's desires. See with clarity the opportunity that surrounds your new journey. Stretch and expand yourself. Soar above previous limitations. The hawk. The frog. You are being guided to jump over any obstacles and embrace the change in your life. And the frog can't do that with heavy weight on its back. Okay. Truth, you as well. Have an amazing one. Truth has an expiration date. The time has come and is now to speak your new truths. Show the world your voice, acknowledge your desires, and leap with faith towards what matters to you. The bear, unconditional love, playful and protective. You are being guided to rest and enjoy yourself and others, create balance in your life, and follow your truths. You will intuitively know when and how to take inspired action. You have immense inner wisdom and physical strength. And you got the deer. Huh. You are being guided to no longer stand in the shadows of fear. Begin today to allow yourself to be seen. What you seek is there to be found. Take inspired action and a leap of faith towards your heart's desires. And an inspired action is it's calm. It's one of those every time you have an inspired action is when you get an idea to do something and you tell yourself you're about to do it. When you don't do it, that's you not taking action on that inspiration. And then now you get into this whole logical aspect of it. You start overthinking had you have done it from the moment that you were inspired to do it, especially when it comes to an idea that you have. And then the answers come through for you to take action on them and you don't. But when you do, that's exactly the same way that I created the Reset Your Timeline or Repeat Your Life guide that's in the link in the bio. It was an inspired action. I had all of the information there for years, and it was just a matter of putting it in order for that specific context, and that was just taking an inspired action type of stuff. So may you all have a blissful one. If you're looking to book a personal with me, all that information, you'll see that if you go to the main page here. This is the same handle I have here on TikTok, on Instagram. You'll find the link to my stand store where you can obtain that guide and other services that I have available at the moment. And with that, have an amazing evening. See you next time.